good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our roundtable discussion. Today we have with us a few married men, and they will be sharing with us their perspective as to their role and responsibility in their respective houses or homes as a husband. So we are going to start with introductions, and gentlemen, please go ahead and introduce yourselves to us.
My name is Omar, and I'm happily married to my wife, Michelle. It's been a year and 4 months, so we're still newlyweds, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm just glad to be a part of this panel. Hopefully I can learn some and be able to provide some help for someone else.
Hello, my name is Albert Timothy. I am happily married to Travian Timothy for 4 years and 1 month as of right now. I believe we're supposed to give our information. I'm a mobile device manager for a company based in Finland for the state for America, and yeah, it's good to be here. Hopefully, we're able to give off of each other, and that everybody will be able to get a better understanding of what it is to be a husband and to be a man.
Yes, my name is Dwayne Caden. I'm from the island of Jamaica, and I've been married for the past 7 years and 3 months and counting. I'm happily married to Marceline Caden, and enjoying the marriage life so far. It's it's a blessing. God has been good to us, and we're looking forward for many more happy years to come, God's willing.
Thank you.
Okay, Lester Green, elder at West Park SDA Church, Jamaican, married to my loving young strong wife for 39 years, 2 children, and 3 grandchildren. And currently I'm in the US. I'm engaged in general construction.
Okay.
And I'm happy to be a part of the family of God and to be a part of this meeting this evening.
Well, thank you very much for the introductions. And viewers, please note that this program is sponsored by the Family Life Department of the Coconut Grove Seventh-day Adventist Church. So we have relationships stemming from 1 year to 39 years. So the first question to you guys, how are you doing as a husband in general? How are you doing as a husband? Let's start with Omar, the youngest among the group.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot what it means to be a husband, to be a man, to be the priest of the home. There's a lot of kind of like learning on the job. So it's it's a blessing. I enjoy it and just want to keep learning and growing. I always tell my wife, we want to be trending forward in every area of our lives, financially, career-wise, spiritually, emotionally, and as well as our relationship together. So it's been a lot of some growing pains, obviously, but it's been good. I'm very happy.
Okay, Timothy, what about you?
I don't want to be biased, but I think I'm doing by God's grace pretty okay, as a husband. As the brother said before, I think it's always a learning experience. And I'm young, right? I'm 25 years old. So I've been married for 4 years, I've been also learning how to be a man. So it's challenging, to reprove self, take away self in each and every action. And that's the main thing I've learned in my husbandry, right? And as I'm becoming a husband, right, God is teaching me to be a better husbandman, if you understand what I'm saying, being a better servant for his people, for his kingdom. So it's a very intriguing and encouraging path that I think we've all chosen.
Okay, we'll come back to that definition that you've outlined, learning to be a man, okay, after we've heard from Caden. How are you doing as a husband, Caden?
Well, it is every day is a learning process, you know. It is, I've been learning, a lot. You know, sometimes it seems as if it's a uphill climb, but I'm getting there with the help of God, holding on,
Okay.
and I try to encourage, especially those that are newlywed, understand, and those are aspiring to get married, because you see, once you're in, you're in to stay. There's no, as I mentioned before in previous interview, I said that you see, once you it's like when it come on to a marital affair, it's like a game of domino. And once you draw your hand, there's no, you can't say, boy, you want to reshuffle. So it's a learning process, and you just have to just work with it. You understand me? God's willing,
Okay.
we'll make it. All right.
Okay. So basically the three of you have stated that you're learning. You're learning to be what exactly does that mean? You're learning and you're learning to be a man. What exactly are you guys learning? This a little specific.
Well, for me personally for me, I've never lived with someone before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the real struggle. At first, started out, when I went into counseling, pastor outline, to us that, for the first year or two, that is going to be a struggle. You understand? And you see, once you get over that first 2 years, you find yourself,
Mm-hmm.
soothed, just, but, it has been a blessing. Trust me, it has been a blessing.
Okay. Timothy.
What I'm learning is, right, so God's word says that every good and perfect gift comes from God. And
Amen.
what I'm also learning is that that the word of God says that when a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. So it's a consistency of good, right? Especially when God is in the mix. So what I'm learning essentially is that as I've gotten this gift, now I need to be able to prove myself to be worthy of taking care of this gift, right? The gift of salvation, but for the context of what we're talking about, the gift of my wife, I have to be able to prove myself to not just her, but to God that, hey, I'm eligible and I'm worthy of this gift you've given me. So I'm learning ultimately of myself. I'm learning how to be a servant for someone, and ultimately, in the future, I'm learning how to be a servant to multiple people in children in my circle. So that's what I'm learning.
Okay. Omar, you alluded to the same things too, so expand on that a little also.
Yeah, I mean, it's different because it's like I've never had the opportunity to really, my parents got divorced when I was really young, so I never really seen a marriage demonstrated in front of me, and it was something that was always fascinating to me, especially when I went off to college. My roommate invited me to his parents' house for lunch, and just seeing a husband and a wife in the same house and how they interacted with each other was just like, for me, it's always been fascinating, and it's been something that I wanted. And I know it's not like we watch a lot of movies and we see these guys in these movies that they're like perfect. They say all the right things, they do all the right thing, they have this way about them. It's just perfect. And I'm thinking like it can't be real. It's not. And sometimes I think is where our minds are like, skewed to think that's, how we need to be, and just realizing that, we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We're flawed. We're two human beings coming together, and we're trying to do our best to make it work, and just learning just how to, learn to make mistakes, and with those mistakes, keep moving forward, keep trending forward. And I'm also learning that my spiritual life is is first and foremost, and just staying on my knees, it's just the main thing. I don't have all the answers for everything, and I realize, like, man, some things isn't just so black and white as it might appear on the movies or whatever. Some things are just really, there's some hard decisions, and I've made some mistakes. So I'm learning that, man, like I really need to stay on my knees and really just listen for God's voice, be obedient, and if I fall by the wayside, just learn to, brush it off, get back up, and keep moving forward.
So, Elder Green, we have some very young relationships, okay? 1 year, 4 years, 7 years. And they talk about, still learning, and they're babies in that game.
Yeah.
You are 39 years, sir. Okay? What advice can you give to these young men right now? What should they expect from their relationships?
All right, first, I want to commend Coconut Grove Family Life Ministries. You are very practical. The way you do your thing, you're real to life and you're contemporary, which is very good. And you are trying to get your young couples to understand some of the basic ingredients in marriage and to go forward. So I want to commend you for that first, and keep it up. Good work. This type of programs we need in the church to help our young adults, to grow. I'm happy to hear how the young married men speaking to, at least, and you see they're willing and they're anxious to do what is right. So it is good. Now, what I want to say to here on this program is that marriage is like a building, started and can't finish. It never finish. You keep putting up blocks, keep decorating, and keep expanding. When it's finished, you expand to the next block and you're gone again, and you keep going, and it can't stop. But the cement that hold that together is Jesus. If God is not in the marriage, it will not survive. It is natural for human being to be at enmity with God's plan. It's natural. So if God is not the cement that hold the blocks together in the marriage, it will not survive. So the first thing is that God must be head in the home, and the husband must play his role as the priest of the home. Ensure the family altar is consistent. And even when you have children, the children must know the family altar, and the children must go to the family altar. When they are of age of accountability and they're on their own, then you don't have a choice. But at least from their born until the time 16 or 17 or 18, whatever the cutoff time is, the priest must ensure that the family altar is well kept
Okay.
and everything in the house is ordered according to the divine plan. And that is the first mix that will keep, the marriage together. Now, some people feel also that marriage is so easy and sweet and it's nice. Some people married, because they want to have a nice sex life, but sex can't finish either. You could, it's marriage is not just that. Marriage is how well you cannot keep that vow. You see, when we make that covenant and say for better, for worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, that is a very serious covenant. And that is why sometimes now we give up easily because we forget the covenant we make. But marriage is also like a roller coaster. It has bumps into it, it has challenges into it, and it has roses into it. So it's how it depends on how we are approaching it. When we reach the challenge into it, how do we approach it? Do we take sides and pack up and run? Or do we work together? So it's all about building and how you can work together irrespective of circumstance that you are in. And you have to be mentally and physically, emotionally, you have to be prepared to go for the long haul.
Okay. So here's my follow-up question, especially to our young couples here. When you while you were making your marital vows or saying your marital vows, the part that says for worse, what came to mind when you uttered those words? What worse were you thinking of? Let's start with Caden. What worse were you thinking of? Or did it just breeze through your mind? Did you pay any attention to what you were saying?
Yes, I understand worse as in because Pastor outlined certain things before, and he said that she will be your wife if even if it comes to a end wherein she's in an accident, she's crippled, you can't have sex with her again, all these things, they outlined all of these things. So, we were aware, of what is, and he mentioned also to her that, look, if your husband is unable to work and, you understand, stuff like those, you understand, he will still be your husband. So, for better, for worse, you understand me? So that's it.
But how seriously did you pay attention to that counsel, Timothy?
If I were to be honest, just we always hear the vows being read or said, and it's not even read. You don't really pay attention to the wording that is presented. And if we were to take heed to the words, I think we'll be able to make a better decision on if we're ready for marriage or not. But I personally, and my wife also, we took efforts into what we were saying. So, we believe in what we say is our bond. So in listening to For Better, For Worse, Richer, Poorer, Sickness, and in Health, all these thoughts came up, if it's physical limitations that come up in life, whether emotional limitation after a while, maybe so much searing happens that people don't want to reconcile. Spiritual calluses are built up. Maybe they've been hurt by the church or someone in the church messed them up and they don't want to even go to church anymore. And then you have to be that spiritual head, that spiritual rock for your family. So basically in every aspect that we are as human beings are affected, we have to plan for the worst. And ultimately, as the elder pointed out earlier, once you have God in the mix of it, and this is where I was able to find peace. And also my wife, when we were counseled on this, we have peace because God in the mix of it, your worst, you're able to get through the worst, basically. So when the worst comes, you're still able to get through it. Now, worst will always come, but it matters on how you get through it. Not just the fact that it's gonna come, but how you get through the worst.
Okay. Omar.
Yeah, the way I look at it is it's just a covenant between you, your wife, and God. So, God is the ultimate. So it's, you don't look back. It's not something that's circumstantial based on tomorrow. If, she get in a car accident, she's crippled, like whatever, like this is it. There's no looking back. There's no turning back. And this is someone I love and I want to spend the rest of my life with her, going to spend the rest of my life with her. So it's a covenant between me, her, and God. So it's ultimately me being obedient to this covenant. So that's the way I look at it.
The term priest of the household, it's a weighty expression full of responsibilities, right? Elder Green, what does that mean to be priest of your household? And especially if you're in a situation where your wife may be a stronger willed person than you are, how can you balance the two?
Okay.
How does it affect the relationship if it does?
All right. And that is, you have raised a very excellent point. If the wife being a stronger willed person than you are, to balance, that is not an easy balance unless you really have God. Again, in the picture we're saying about it now, being a priest in the home and the wife is strong willed, then you as a priest, meaning that you still need to ensure that you make sure you are calling the worship, allowing God to lead you, allowing God to guide you, study God's word for yourself, find a way to read it to your strong-willed wife, and show how God love, how Jesus love, and you want to demonstrate that kind of love. You want to be the true husband of the family. You want to be the head of the family. And also, if the wife, why you have a problem? Because some men are afraid when their wives are very strong. But I would love a wife. I would love my wife to be very, very strong. In the sense that if she is strong and she is bringing good financial base, it only strengthens me now to go and work harder and to balance the mission. Our success is going to be better, faster, and stronger. You see, but if I'm complacent with my wife going to work and taking care of the finances and carrying the weight of the family, then now I will have to maybe allow her to lead in some areas because she's showing that she's more effective in some areas of the house. You see, sometimes too, a male want to show that I'm in control, but he's not doing his part to enhance the growth. And a man must never step back. If you're the head of the house, you're the head. Even if wife is earning more money than you are still the head, but you must have to display that first God-given role as the head and that first God-given role as the father, as the head. I'm going to give you an example. If like in this country here, because I'm an American, I'm learning American way of life. I'm a born Jamaican who come to America a little late, so but I'm learning. I find this country the women sometimes earn more money than the man, right? Because sometimes, most are. And sometimes though, if a man realizes the wife is earning more and she's coming later and you come in earlier, no, you don't come in earlier, expect her to come in later and come take care of the food and while you're at home and do everything and you're at home relaxing and because you're the head of the house and she comes and start to push her around. No, surprise her. Make sure the place is well clean. Make sure the food is cooked. When she come, give her some candlelight dinner or something. Put some candle. Make her feel at home. Go to the bathroom. Make sure the bathroom is so well put together. Put something like that, something that smells so nice. But then now she said, "This is the head." You see, there are ways of showing that you are the head without have to bullying her, right? Even if she earns more than you, but you still maintain your dignity as a man in the house, right? Because of the way you're operating with her, all right? And the key to be a head in the house, you must demonstrate family worship as the man in the house. You
Okay.
cannot leave your wife to run the family worship in the house, and then you claim that you are the priest in the house. The priest is the priest because you are given the demonstration as a true man in the house. And I want you, gentlemen, finances don't make you any lower. Even if you're working more than you, it doesn't make you any lower. Because how we operate with the family make a difference as the head of the house.
Okay. And even though you stressed on finances, I'm assuming that you mean the same thing for spirituality also.
Yes, yes,
Yeah?
yes, yes.
Okay. Gentlemen, I had a conversation with a guy, a friend of mine some time ago. We were talking and saying goodbye to each other. And then I cracked a joke to him saying, "Oh, you're going to go home, have sex with your wife and stuff like that." And then he said to me, "No, I'm not going home to have sex. I'm going home to make love." To you too. What comes to mind? What is the difference between having sex, and making love with your wife? Peter.
Well, basically, having sex and making love. Well, it all depends on how they view it. But I personally, when making love, having sex, I would put them in the it's a package.
Okay.
Understand me? It's a package. I'm not sure on what grounds that person were talking, but I mean, it's a package. Sex, making love, it's a package.
Okay. Omar.
I mean, I think, yeah, sex. I mean, you can have sex with anyone, but I mean, you make love with someone that you know. It's the more it's intimate. Um, but yeah, I think it's more of a package because there's times where me and my wife, we just want to have sex. The other times where it's more emotional, it's more romantic, it's more making love, So yeah, I think you can have both, and that's my opinion.
Okay, Timothy, you'll have the last word, but let Elder Green touch on that.
My time?
Yes, Elder Green.
Okay. Sex is really an outcome of making love. Sex, really and truly, love should really come before it. Once you're in love, then sex is an automatic result. So if love is not there, but with both parties, if both parties don't really share that love and affection for each other, then you find that if all you want is sex, then it's gonna be a problem. But once love is there, genuine love, and both parties really in love and they love each other genuinely, sincerely, then sex is a natural outcome. Natural. It comes naturally.
Timothy?
Well, I'll be honest. My wife and I, we use different terms. I don't know if we're extreme or anything, but so I had a conversation with one of my best friends the other day, and we were talking about, okay, because making love and sex, sex has a universal connotation, and like Omar said, sex anybody can have sex, and also I heard someone speaking, and they were speaking of making love. It's like, okay, so you weren't in love before you were making love, so it's based on your opinion and your perspective. We could go on, but my wife and I, um we use the term bearing fruit, right? So that's a biblical, that's a biblical term that we use, and we try as much as possible not to allow, even though it's a carnal thing, it's a fleshly thing, we try as much as possible. I said try as much as possible not to get hooked up into the physical aspect of intercourse,
Right,
right?
right.
We try as much as possible to incorporate all three aspects. Okay, so I'll be honest. I'm turned on to my wife when we're having devotion, and there's spiritual fervor is being showed by her, and that attracts me. So and then ultimately the highest result of attraction is bearing fruit, intercourse, correct? So expressing that with your significant other, it could be, I think it affects each aspect. And then yeah, I mean, I believe there's a difference if you want to, making love and sex. Sex is generalized, and making love is I guess is more concerted effort.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen. We will be right back as we take a minute break here.
Want to know all that matters? A family life web series hosted by Coconut Grove SDA Church on the YouTube channel. Second and fourth Sunday, 7 p.m. Join us for all that matters.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome back to our roundtable discussion. And before we took the break, we were having the discussion on sex and love. Is there a difference between the two? Okay, our next question will go to Elder Green. I know it's 39 years, but what were your goals for marriage when you got engaged, and where you are right now, 39 years later? Have you been able to fulfill those goals?
All right. My original goals when going into marriage is that I have a Christian partner who really we could grow together in the Lord. Because you see, my goal is heaven. So we want to Lord we make it into heaven. And I believe that marriage, the road of marriage would carry bumps and potholes and things. But if we can hold on to God's hand, then I know He will carry us through. And yes, we have faced many challenges, on this road. But the only thing that keep us all these years is our trust and our faith in God. And it has been carrying us even until today, because we still have hope that by the help of the Lord, we're gonna make it together in the kingdom. All right, and that's what keeps us together all these years. Nothing else.
Let me go to Omar. What makes you sad in your marriage? And as a husband, I'm talking about, okay? What
Mhm.
makes you sad in your marriage? Anything that you've not been able to fulfill that what makes you sad in your marriage?
Wow, that's a good question. I wouldn't say much has made me sad, to be honest. Um, yeah, I mean, as far as my extended family, I was really, I would say, before I got married, I used to live with my mom, and we had that, had a connection there. So I would say that kind of made me a little bit sad that, I'm not as closer. I mean, I'm probably about an hour away from her, so I do call her. I get to talk with her. I get to visit sometimes. So sometimes I know because we had that connection before I was married. So because I'm not there, that tends to make me a little bit sad. But I mean, it's still not as bad as it could be where I was living, like in another state or something. But I still get to talk to her and see her, and just having that more physical, close connection with her. And there's, sometimes there's some needs that I'm not able to provide at times. So that would probably be the only thing. As far as my relationship with my wife, I mean, I can't think of anything that brings like any sadness.
Okay. Kaden, as you think of yourself as a husband, a father, um, how would you want your children to not just remember you but look at you as say I am empowered because my dad did such and such and such.
Well, I always want, my children to view their dad as a good father figure. You
Meaning,
understand? One who will always, be there, for them, whenever, they whatever need, whatever needs, whatever struggles, they may face, I'm there to,
mm,
to help them out to the best of my ability. You understand? I want them to, look to me as a good father figure.
okay. Timothy, I'm asking the same question.
I want my kids to see me as a resource. Um, I've seen children, they have it all. They have all the toys, all the latest fashion and everything. But at the end of the day, they don't really know their parents because the parents are always working or don't have time for them. But I want my children to be able to feel comfortable with me to an extent where they're able to come and tell me that, hey, dad, I did this today, because they feel so comfortable, because they have that relationship. And also to be an impact in each and every aspect of your life. So they have math homework. I don't want my kids to be able to say, I'm not gonna be God. I'm not God. I don't know everything. But they could come to me and ask me, and I'll be able to say, yeah, I could do this part, but we can look for someone else to help you with this part. You understand what I'm saying? But for them to be able to know that once they come to daddy, he'll be able to, if he not doesn't have the answer, he'll be able to get the answer for them. And yeah, that's basically it.
Okay. Omar, and that's for you also, Elder Green. Um, are there any role models, male role models, that you even now can look up to and say that I want to emulate that outside of God, emulate that person?
I know for me, it's quite a few. I mean, there's several church brothers that I have that are a little bit older than me that have been married and that I've have relationships with that I watch and see how they conduct themselves. And actually, to be honest, Sister George, you and Brother George has been a long time. I've always, I don't know if you noticed, but I always paid attention to you guys when I was going to Coconut Grove Church. And I even told my wife that, like, you guys have always been a role model for me, the way you and your Brother George interact with each other, your kids. I admire that. So,
Oh, thank you. Elder Green?
Yeah, because you said outside of church, then I'm going to give you outside of church because church is okay, but outside of church, when I was growing up a very young person, There was some person back in my homeland that married for a long time and lived together, have children together. And I saw them as great role models that I really admired during my time. But some of those folks migrated to the US
mm,
and surprisingly they divorced. So I mean, I felt that way to say that with all these years back home, looking so close, and they come over here
mm,
and they divorce. I said something wrong with this country. Why that could happen? So and then I understand now. Marriage can't be held together unless God is in it.
mm,
It doesn't matter how good it look. If God is not in marriage, really and truly, it can't be held together. And I've come back to the church. It's only the church you'll find some folks who live until death and don't divorce and carry through. And those you can find, those are the older ones now. It can happen now, I believe, frankly speaking, once the couple have God totally, once they give God their total life, it can happen because it can happen right now in this country.
mm.
But we have to understand that marriage is going to always have ups and downs and challenges. How do you face the challenge? Do you face it by yourself or do you ask God to carry through it when it happens?
I would like you to expand on that a little more, Elder Green and Caden also. Because you've made mention that as long as God is in the relationship,
Yeah.
and we have evidence around us where individuals in the church serving God, living together for number of years, participating in church, yet still they do not have that type of a healthy marriage. So what is the problem then?
Again,
Um,
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Please.
I wanted to go in at that point. When we look at the church, and sometimes even when persons have difficulties or the church, the couples in the church, different churches, you know, I believe that, a lot of marriages, yes, some may get frustrated and decided that, look, I can't bother with this no more. But there are those that are there who are thinking that, look, my soul salvation and this is my partner. I chose this person to be my wife or my husband. And yes, a lot of them, of these couples are there. They are just doing it for face card because they don't want to look bad. They don't want to persons to have bad things to say about them. So they try to hold it together. You understand me? Whilst majority of those that are out there who don't accept Jesus Christ, they are out there, they are married, especially those movie stars and so forth. Once they have a little problem or a little struggle, they decided that, look, this is it. You understand me? So with the church, yes, we have our struggles, and I don't want people to think that because we are Christians, we don't have struggles, we don't have problems. You understand? Yes, it is real. You understand? Because we don't want to paint a picture as if the marriages in the church are okay. You understand me? A lot of us we have our struggles. You understand me? So that is how I view it.
To Timothy, let's start with communication, and Omar, you also. Um, in relationships, you can have situations where a man would say, because I say so, or a man would communicate based on just how he was brought up communicating and not understanding that okay, my wife, she has another type of language and I am supposed to learn that. Okay, where you are in your relationship, um, would you say that you are a good communicator? Are you still learning? Have you not understood? Where are you?
I'm still learning. I think it's been stressed throughout the whole program that marriage is a learning process, just like sanctification. You can never say you've arrived because that day you do, you better watch out for falling. Because I personally believe that So when we just got married, I believe I was the best communicator in the world because as I've been called upon, I like talking. I love speaking. I love voicing my opinion. But there's a difference between, I learned, communication and effective communication. So effective communication is being able to relay the information and then be understood what you're relaying. So that takes time. That takes intentionality on who you're communicating with. So, and then not just only being able to give out, speak on what you're saying, but then being able to listen to what the other person is saying. So that consistent dialogue and an understanding of each other, and then moving forward with the understanding from whatever conversation you had. So I would like to say that I am a okay communicator. I'm not a great one, but I don't think I'm the worst either. So I think I'm okay. I have my times of bout also.
Okay. Omar?
Yeah, same here. Still learning. One of the things that I've tried to apply, what we learn in counseling is that, there's an exercise where, one partner would express themselves, and then I would, I hear them, and then I would repeat what they said, but in my own words. And if they agree with that, then that means I was listening and I understood what they were saying. And also to effective communication, like Timothy was saying, I also learned that, not just listening, but actually putting myself in my wife's shoes, like pretending I'm her and see where she's coming from based on her background and what I already know of her. So when I do that, then I'm more likely to be like, you know what, I hear you, I feel you, I see where you're coming from, and I'm better able to empathize with her. A lot of times we look at things from our perspective, and I think that's where it gets a little bit, sticky. So like Timothy said, I'm still learning. I'm not the best, and there's times where there's disagreement, and so yeah, so still working on it.
Okay. Caden, to you, and then Elder Green. Where do you think when I say we, women, wives, talking to men, husbands, where do you think we have misunderstood you?
I'm not clear on that question.
What else can we do? I do not want to be specific and say your wife, so I'm speaking of women in general, okay? Wives. So you give counsel to us wives. What more can we do as wives to help satisfy your needs? To help you become a better husband? What more would you like us to do?
Well, that's a tough one. Well, as husbands, we like respect. You understand? I'm not just saying it on my own behalf, as on behalf of all of us. Men on a whole, yes, we don't like to feel less, than a man. We desire respect. And as a lot of ladies, sometimes, I would say, tend to try to, try to take that away from men. But as men, and sometimes it can be so devastating until it reaches a point wherein, it even the relationships can get abusive at times. You understand? And that's a downhill turn. You understand me? So, men really deserve respect. And that is how most men feel, like they are men. All right. So that is what we as men really, desire.
Okay. Elder Green, you answer the same question, sir, but also add to it. Should I give you respect and you have not earned that respect from me?
Very good. I see you're trying to make the question a general question for educational purposes and the wider scope of people. Fine. So we're going to give it back in general the same way for that section of the question you're asking. You see, brother Timothy, Omar, Yes, what he was saying here also, it ties into the whole spectrum of a man. A man like to feel respected by his wife, and in the sense that she been very courteous and kind to him. I know that sometimes the woman might feel the weaker vessel, and she might forget to what her power is her words that she can use to cut him down and emphasize. Because that's the worst method in communication that
Mm,
any woman could use to a man and get him to come down to size. A man really have to have something that he really just overlook those things. Because a man don't like to feel so, you know, rejected, dejected, despondent, and to feel as if he is no good. That hurts. All right. And for ladies, it's a very strong weapon to use to find all the faults you can find and throw it at him, because you really want to mess his head up, that it feels so down and so low that he just full up. That is where you allow now your husband or your friend to think otherwise. That person in his mind is saying, no, this person can't be good for me because I can't grow in this environment. It's too toxic to go into. All right. So good communication from a lady's standpoint. You see, if a lady know how to treat a man good, you'll lead him by a string rest of your life. But the day you try to use words to cut him down, that's where you're losing that person. So it's very important that women don't go that route with their husband or wife. I mean, wives, to their husband, husband to their. All right, the converse. Let me go to converse at the same time. A husband really has to learn communication continuously. Remember I said earlier in my opening statement that is a building that's not finished. It can't finish because even as you get older, you're still learning how to get it right, how to communicate, so you keep it alive. The idea is to keep it alive. So as time changes and things advance, you have to try and keep up with the technology too and everything, so you can stay ahead of the game. So you're gonna find out the communications be consistent. All right, and just keep learning. All right, but what needs to happen is that the wife also must find a way to let her husband feel important, feel as if he's doing something well. Where he's weak, you try to help him to strengthen, to show him that if you do this, you might get a better result. You understand? Because really, good husbands will always listen to their wives.
okay,
Always listen to their wives. Good
okay.
husbands. Always. But the wife must not take disadvantage of that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is where you get your whole support. Where is vulnerable and where it's because sometimes when a man do some things, it may appear as weakness, but it's just gentleness. He just that's how he feels. He wants to be tender
Mm-hmm.
and kind and soft to his wife. But sometimes the wife sees it opposite. You're weak, so therefore I'm gonna knock you out. And these are the things that affect marriages. Bad communication, bad signals, right?
Yes.
And heart effect.
Yes.
Hurting, spiting, all those are bad signals
Mm-hmm.
for marriage to end in
Okay.
happiness.
Okay. Thank you very much. We're about to end our discussion this afternoon. But before we go, here's a question for each of you guys. 1 years, 4, 7, and 39. Okay. Why is it that somewhere along your marital journey that you let yourself go? You no longer worry about your six pack that you had. You no longer worry about the way that you used to trim your head nicely. You no longer worry about lotioning yourself. Why is it that you let yourself go? Any, go ahead.
I mean, I think it's because, I guess I know I can speak for myself during the process of courting my wife, and it was always this sort of chase. You're trying to accomplish, you're trying to win the prize. And I guess when you get married, what I've started to realize lately, and I was talking to my wife about it, is that I put on a few pounds. And I'm like, man, like I want to put on a little bit of weight, but not, I don't want it all to go to my stomach. And I started to also notice that like, man, I'm not as, I won't say ambitious, but it's not as, you know, like how it used to be. It was always like, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And I was like, wow, I really need to guard against this because, it's could this could be very, very dangerous, So I started working out again, started exercising, started taking care of myself because I'm like, man, I'm not getting any younger. And I want to still maintain that same level of excitement, that same chase, because it's not, I just want to have the mindset of, this is what we have is not guaranteed. It's not always going to be this way. I need to still pursue her. And that's all that's important for our relationship.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to go? Timothy, let's go with you.
I share the same sentiments with Omar. Yeah, I think we get like lazy in the relationship because the chase is over. I mean, essentially, we've won. So then it's like, okay, what's the next thing? And usually because every day it becomes a norm. You wake up next to her. You're able now. You're like, okay, I'm saying good morning, but I don't have to make sure my teeth is brushed before I say good morning. And you get so comfortable, because of the relationship process. I guess you just you just drop all guards. I think after a while, and it's like, hey, you wake up next to them, you're like, wow, like I don't do anything to appeal to you anymore. I don't do anything to please you. And even at 25, I don't think it really has an age, but once you get married, I think after a while, you just get complacent. And I think once you realize that, it's good to safeguard against that because, yeah, even though you're striving for scholastic affairs or whatever career that you're trying to attain, but in your marriage, you're not really putting forth that effort. And it may not just be physical, maybe spiritual. We used to have 4:00 a.m. devotions when we were just dating, and now it's just, yeah, whenever we get a chance to, we'll pray together. Or, emotionally, you're not really like, gearing to her needs or, it's looking at, okay, she had a hard week this week, maybe I could be intentional, give her a spa day or, if you're not, well endowed with money like that or whatever, cook her a candlelit dinner as Elder Green spoke about earlier. But I think the intention goes down because the chase is over and we get casual.
Elder Green.
Well, same question.
Yeah, same question to you. And at 39 years, have you fallen into that trap? Did you at one time fall into that trap? And are you now more mindful of not being there, not staying there?
Yes, the answer is yes. You reach your comfort zone. And if you say, well, we have arrived, so what next? I mean, that's it. We just keep moving. But you find out that you really drop your guards, and then the nice thing you used to do before now, it causes her now to get into a position where she don't feel that uh, aroma coming from you anymore, and it turns her off. So you have to get back now to the point of, wow, like, get back to the point where you get your aroma back up and try to keep it up because women, they like to get a certain from the men, a certain aroma from the men. And I want to know you're maintaining that same kind of emotional stance that you had before. All right. So we men, even though sometimes yes, we let our guards down, but when we get the alarm signal, we should really get the guard back up. And because marriage is really a lifetime thing. It's not a once good and stop and start again. It's a lifetime affair. So we were making mistakes, we need to try and address them and get back to the original. So keep it alive. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. And I believe we've lost Caden due to poor connection. Hopefully, he can join us for the final thought as we get into it. Okay. The last question to you guys before I ask you to do your final thoughts, each person. Okay. Um, when last did you take a me time? Usually you'd find women saying that I need a me time moment, right? Um, have you ever thought of a me time for yourself? Do you take me time moments for yourself? And why do you do that?
Yeah, yeah, I think it's important. I actually had a me time yesterday. It's because my wife was she had to go take her mom. She's with her mom. They were doing some stuff they were working on together. So she was gone. She was gone. Actually, no, it was Thursday. She spent the night. So I had all day yesterday by myself. And it's funny because I actually I believe in me time. Like I definitely need me time. I think more than your average person. One of the reasons because we work from home, so we see each other all the time. So that's become very important to both of us. Yesterday it was funny because when she came home, I was like, man, I really missed you. And it was just maybe it's because I was so used to having her around. So when she was gone, it's like, wow, I'm here by myself. It's so I actually missed her, but I do think it's very important.
Okay. Timothy?
Me time. I'm pretty busy, so I'm my me time. I schedule either like pretty early in the morning or pretty late at night. Just I guess in the me time, just doing something I like. Sometimes I go play basketball with my friends. I consider that me time. Um, Sectioning off from her, just in that scope of things, not really. It's not a good thing to say, but not really like, okay, I'm married, I have responsibility, but just doing something that I like to do. And, I think I take consistent me time in the week. It may not be like scheduled, but I take me time. And I think it's important because you as an individual, you still have to be able to hold on to your individuality because ultimately that's what your significant other fell in love with or rose in love with, whatever. Um, they love the person that you were. So don't change. Don't become so engrossed in the other person because then after a while it gets really dry and boring because it's like, yeah, I know every part of you. Yeah, that's cool. It's pretty cliche and it get pretty annoying after a while. So
Right.
I believe in me time.
Okay. Elder Green.
What I can say right now, at some point my wife was here and I was back in Jamaica. I get all the me time in the world I wanted. But now I'm here. I don't find the me time come so frequently anymore. So I have to work at that one. I have to work
Okay.
at the me time on
Oh,
this side. But when I'm back home, I get all the me time I want. All the me time.
okay.
I know, this country is a little different, but I have to work with it and try to get to that point where I understand that me time is important. But it's very important. Another thing about me time.
Okay.
Healthy. Yeah.
Thank you. So as we end, gentlemen, Omar, Green, and Timothy, if you can give center your final thought on the importance of being the priest of your household and to elaborate a little more on that and the role, oh, excuse me, the role, your role rather, I'm sorry, I had a sneeze coming. Your role as a husband in your house, I would appreciate
For me, I think it's me starts off first with me having a connection with God. And I've come to realize that, I heard one person, said that stay on your knees, is it's really all about prayer and having that connection with God. And second is having it's being an example, living that life at home first, is for my wife to see, and sometimes I get caught up into just talking and saying this is what we should do, this is what you should do, not agreeing on certain things that she's doing, but me taking it upon myself and living that life and then being an example to her. You know, that's what, for me, what being a priest of the home is.
Ella Green?
Yeah, being the priest in the home mean that you individually as a man have to try and get that one-to-one with God first. You know, you have to have that, try to aim for that connection for yourself. Study God's word, pray, have your own individual devotion. Then you incorporate, you know, the family, you know, into that kind of devotional spirit. Because you cannot say you're the priest when you're only trying to have corporate worship. That's not it. You have to have a one-on-one connection with God for yourself. That means you know God for yourself. He talk to you, right? He advise you. He tell you what to do because you have that connection with him. And so even when things are not going right, you need that spirit to tell you what to do to, right? So that's what priests mean, you know. And then now you try to demonstrate it in your household by ensuring that you have good family worship. The word of God is still read and taken care of in the home, and then we try to demonstrate how to live. That is how it works. Other than that, it can, again, I say it won't work if the priest is not connected. It
Mhm.
still won't be so effective. The
Thank you.
priest must first be connected.
Thank you. And Timothy, you have the final word.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all the other brethren before me. The intimate relationship of God personally, of course, is the most important thing. You can't give what you don't have
Mm,
ultimately. So you have to have that foundation with God for yourself. You have to know God for yourself. And I think also the next most practical and important thing is that, okay, family worship is incorporated and the consistency, you understand? And I'll even go as far as to say this. Now, whilst we have family worship, you know, after family worship is even more important because this is not designated time for God, but now I'm living my life. And based on how you see I'm living my life, you can tell if I'm living for God or if I'm living for myself. You know, children especially can sift out hypocrisy in a minute. Like they have a nose for it. You can't pull the wool over their eyes. So once you are consistent, I see as a child, from the perspective of a child, daddy and mommy, we have a problem in the home, whether it be whatever. And the first thing daddy and mommy do is say, let's pray. They go to God for the answers. So as a child seeing that, reiterated each time a problem happens, they know when they get older that, hey, when I have a problem, I have to go to God first because he is the one that is foundational in everything. So they see the consistency of God in the whole life of their parents. And even more so in the children and the wife looking on the husband. The husband has been an example. They're not being rash with decisions. They're not being rash in disciplining their children, but in everything there's a careful intentional thought and a consistency in allowing God to work through him as a conduit. And
yes.
so I think that's the most important thing as a priest of the household. It's not just claiming, yeah, I'm the priest of the house, but then you're not even living the life of a priest. A priest's life is better shown than just spoken of or reiterated. So that's what I believe.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us at our roundtable discussion this afternoon. And we do apologize for Caden, who was not able to rejoin us. And we hope that you, our viewers, will edified from the thoughts of our married men this afternoon. So thank you, and we will see you again next time.